My name is Tim Caron. This is Allegiant Behind the Primaries. So what I want to go through this month is going to be what we do on a biannual basis called key performance indicators. We really like to assess relative strength exercises. So there's a concept of relative strength, so your strength relative to your body weight, which you can use for external load. So if I was going to look at your front squat, which we're going to do a 5 RM, 3 RM, 1 RM kind of concept this month, versus now looking at body weight oriented exercises. Like, I guess that can be confusing, right? And I want to elaborate a little bit more on that. So if I can front squat 2 times my body weight, you have a really high relative strength. Now, on the other end, if I can do, let's say, 10 pull-ups, you also have a lot of high relative strength. So when we're thinking about just relative strength in general, it's what is that strength relatively speaking to your body weight? And we can kind of test that a multitude of ways, right? Like we just described. What is the strength or the weight you use relative to your body mass, or how many times can you move your body weight? Now, in regards to why that's important, right? So as we break down everything that we're doing in Allegiant, it really stems from, okay, one, are we keeping you safe, right? Like that's above all else, right? That's why we have our screening process. That's why we track all the things like force stack and Nordboard, Dynamo, and functional movement screen. That's why we're putting in your sleep quantity and wellness and how hard the workout is. That's why our workouts are always designed off this concept of structural balance. Whatever we push, we're also going to pull. All that, right? And that leads into hopefully safer, more effective training over time. But the other part of the equation is, are we attaining something better than when we started? And a large part of that is going to be tied into really two things. Am I getting stronger and am I improving my body comp? And those are really important, right? Because as we look at it from why strength is important. As we get older, we need stronger tendons, ligaments, bones. So this concept of Wolff's Law, the more stress we apply to certain tissues, the more it responds positively by getting reinforced and stronger. So you can see now a trend and a wave going into, hey, older people in general are more effective the longer they externally load their bodies, right? Or they're more capable. And then the other part is muscular tissue is just a really advantageous thing to have, relatively speaking, to not, right? So it's more metabolically active. You look at about what it has this connotation around, meaning that if you're building more muscle, if you have more muscle, your body's probably generally in a pretty healthy state, right? Your body doesn't build muscular tissue when it's either in a overly stressed state, a disease state, a injured state. And it more represents the concept of we're doing a lot of right, and that's kind of the thought. It's when we break down what our real value prop to you, it's looking at it from this context of, am I helping you get stronger and improve your body composition? And by body comp, it's building muscle and stripping away or burning fat. And that's the bottom line, right? Because if you're building muscle and you're stripping away fat, there's a lot of positive to come from that. Not only from what we just talked about in reinforcing tissue that's net positive, but your appearance, right? Like you want to see this actually unfold into something where your clothes fit better, you feel more confident, you like the way you look, you like the way you feel. So as we look through what tests really indicate that, probably better than anything else, and we have a body comp challenge going on, which that's a great opportunity to really test yourself and push yourself and try to get those 4 workouts a week, as well as try to improve your body composition through just probably the most important way of improving your diet, being locked in, focused. Holidays are over, time to get to work on increasing your water intake, eating more fruits and vegetables, eating more protein, being more mindful with what you eat, sleeping more, which is the best form of cardiovascular exercise out there still to this date. And then, maybe looking at it from a, hey, I want to get to practice 4, or I want to start to introduce some walking in the morning or something long, slow that I can do sustainably while holding conversation. But all that being said, that is what leads into being able to move your body weight or lift more weight relative to your body mass than when you started, right? Because if I am increasing my pull-ups or increasing my body weight bench or my push-ups on the ground, what that really means is I am getting stronger. Obviously, I'm increasing muscle mass, but I'm having less really unnecessary body mass like fat tissue, right? So if I want to look at, hey, did I improve my body comp? That should have some sort of direct correlation to be able to do pull-ups and push-ups or be able to bench your body weight. And that's the concept that we really want to break down here. And yes, there is the haze in the barn. We've been working on this for the past 6 months, a year, maybe multiple years, and that unfolds. And there is hey, I've reached some sort of plateau effect. And for me to get from this like 10% to 8%, or to go from like 15 pull-ups to 17, or be able to bench my body weight 15 to 17, yeah, there's these like small micro things that we need to really lock in on. But for the majority of us, it's, hey, I want to make consistent, steady progress over a long period of time to preserve my quality of life, to look and feel better, to have more confidence in what we're doing. So what we're going to do here in this video is break down some keys that we want to look for to optimize that. And for the record, I don't believe in chasing numbers, and that matters, right? And I think there's a movement when we look at it from, okay, I can go on Reddit, I can go on Twitter, I can go on Instagram, I can go on any forum, and you see these, I don't know, people who don't really work with anyone, I should say, have no skin in the game, chase numbers, right? That's what amateurs would do. They get preoccupied with numbers, right? A real professional, like we are at Allegiate, are someone that's going to be chasing progress. Because anyone can get a number. I've worked with enough elite level athletes that can just walk in cold off the street with no training and do some impressive things. That's not any reflection of the work ethic or the time vested into you improving. And I think that's the big difference. The real actual test and testament to a quality program and good coaching and being consistent is your improvement. Are we chipping away at this big proverbial task of optimal health and happiness? And when we look at it, you never want to compare yourself to someone else. You only want to compare yourself to yourself. Now, it's inevitable. You're going to start to see where you stack up, and that's okay. Having some sort of output of, okay, I know what that person's doing, and I have something that's going to drive me to try to improve more. Because if we have no context of what's good or bad, we don't really care as much. So I get that. But what you really need to focus on is, are you making improvement? And if you are, that's it. That's all that matters. Who cares what anyone else is doing? You and you alone are the only one that really matters towards your goals. And as we're looking through improving your pull-ups or improving your body weight bench, if you get one more, if you get 5 more seconds on a pull-up hold, if you get one more push-up, that is an amazing testament to your work ethic and consistency. And never take that for granted. Ever, ever. It doesn't happen in an accident. You can't just go out there and buy it or do whatever you think is the shortest pathway. You got to work for it. You got to put the consistent effort in over a long period of time, change a lot of things systemically. And as we break down, these like pro tips and these things to like really optimize that test, don't lose sight of the fact that improvement above all else is most important. Because you can go on the other level of like, okay, there's events around benching that would teach you to widen your hands and arch your back. You're not stronger. You're just manipulating things like leverage and mechanical advantage or range of motion. That's not progress. That's just engineering. The same thing with looking at pull-ups. I can start to drive momentum and use silly things like kipping that would get you a lot more kinetic energy and flow. Yeah, reality is you're not stronger. You're just applying a different strategy, right? And it's like the comparison would be what we talk about in swimming when I work with swimming and diving and putting on a suit. Are you faster? No, you're just wearing things that have less coefficient of friction into the water. And that's a fine strategy if I was going to get paid millions of dollars for winning an Olympic gold medal. But for you, of trying to just look better, feel better, focus on progress. Don't focus on how to just hack the movement, right? Like I want to widen out my feet on a deadlift, or I want to widen out my feet and lower the bar on a squat, or I want to widen out my hands and arch my back. That's not training. That's just engineering technique to get more weight. And that's not getting stronger. That's not improving body comp. That's what people who hopefully have a vector of trying to win a competition would do. There's no need for us to do that on a functional level. And the only thing that actually comes with that is risk and potentially overtraining certain joints and muscle tissues at certain sarcomere lengths don't really manifest into much other than just a more weight in the bar. My point to you is, as we're going through all this, nothing is given, everything is earned. You have to put the work in. You have to keep coming in. Our job is to motivate you, create a great, safe training environment. But you, above all else, are the judge and the jury of what is good and bad. So as we go through these pro tips, think, hey, okay, now I got my opportunity. And take it seriously. Well, I want you to take it seriously. You should take pride in doing things correctly with great effort. That matters, right? The whole thing. And as we look through all the stuff in our world and our lives, take solace to know that strength training is probably one of the purest things that if the more you give, the more you get. And there's not many other things in the world. That's why I love it and I hold it in such a high regard. All right, so let's break down our KPIs this month. And I think they'll help out for all programs and all gyms. And let's give our best effort and get great results this month. KPI pull-up, neutral grip. We have two options here. Option one, we'll be doing pull-ups going up and down. If you're in team and you're doing your body weight plus for pull-ups, you do want to do an open set for pull-ups. If you cannot get one pull-up, you're going to go to a hold. So if you're in strength, you can do pull-ups, let's do it. If you've done it before, do pull-ups, try to beat your number before, which will be recorded in bridge. So try to beat that number. If you can't do pull-ups, that's fine. We'll do a pull-up hold. And the key, for both, and I'm going to go through this both together because it syncs up pretty well. The key is, can you control your body weight moving forward and back? That is where we see most people really give in. So we got a lot of things from a hanging position, right? We got hanging leg raise, hanging knee raise. We do some alternating stuff. We might do some bar hangs. We might do some stuff working isometric contractions in practice 4 as a challenge. It's all intentional. Because what we want to do as we start to work on becoming suspended from this pull-up position is learn how to contract my core, learn how to grip and centrate that shoulder or pack that shoulder in. So when we do get to an open set or a KPI or a hold, that we have a lot more control. It's when we start to see swinging and momentum and looser grip and the elbow flaring in funny positions, that's all energy being leaked elsewhere, right? The real hay is in the barn by improving your body mass, improving your body comp, adding muscle, burning fat. But the other aspect is just getting brutally strong and then learning how to create tension and stability at the right time. Your grip, your elbow, your shoulder, your rib cage, your body swinging forward and back makes tremendous difference between getting a really good number and then leaving a lot of reps in the tank, right? We see people essentially kind of put themselves in a disadvantage by just not having enough grip or not having enough stability in their core. And then it goes to, okay, well, you got to work your absolute ass off to get stronger. Like nothing's given on this, right? That's the purest test we have. There's no cheatiness. There's no, oh, okay, well, I can just rise to the occasion. You got to put the work in. So if you're nervous about it, good. If you're anxious about it, even better. But this is a great indicator of all the work that you've been doing, but there's ways to really maximize that and optimize it. So we're setting up. One, get your hands in a good position. Wrap your thumbs. The more digits we have around, the better. So if we're holding here versus, let's say, there, essentially what you're doing is taking a digit from the equation, right? So if I have more grip into that bar by just doing that, it's like holding a barbell like this. I have now 4 fingers there versus I actually have this grip, or potentially, if you know how to hook, that grip. So I'm going to wrap my thumb. Now, if you're climbing, and I apologize, we have various rack heights and just trying to accommodate different heights, is when you get set up and you start to get suspended, that's a critical step. A lot of times when we look at, okay, well, when I get that transition or that dismount, I should say, from that bench or that bar or the weight hooks or whatever have you, one of the things that I find so troublesome is, oh man, they're swinging. That test might be actually obsolete, might not be effective, right? They're going to struggle Because once they're swinging, that body's not going to stop swinging, right? So get here, get set, and just like we're going to talk about with bench, once that bar is out, lock in. From here, give yourself a target. Try to pull your elbows back. Get that chin above the bar. No need to go any higher, right? If you're really strong, if you know you're going to get that 10 plus and you get the sternum, you want to aim for that, but you don't want to go further, right? It's like trying to touch your chest and then try to figure out how to go below that. It's just not necessary. It's just wasted energy and range. The test is from here to there. Elbow locked, chin. Elbow locked, chin. Controlling momentum forward and back. If I can stop that swinging by gripping harder, contracting my rib cage, or pulling my rib cage down by contracting my abs, we might get some extra reps. And then as we get to those grind reps, right, the ones we're finishing, right, so I'm pulling through, I'm getting my reps, boom, boom, and then I gotta really think about it. Set, take my speed, pull really hard, and reset. Because in theory, your grip should be the last thing to give out by all the stuff that we do. The fat grip, the double overhand grip, the no straps, the holds, everything that we're doing. There's nothing at Allegiant that doesn't have some sort of grip intensive focus. So as we're going through this, take solace to know that we put you in a position to be really strong. So when you get to that, okay, I got maybe 3 reps left, get your breath, control your momentum, pull really hard. Reset, pull really hard. Reset, pull really hard. Maybe you can get an extra 2 or 3 reps because you just really have good grip and you're really in a good position. Now, can't do pull-ups, all good, we got you. If you're doing a pull-up hold, same rules. Grip, control your core. When you dismount from the bench or the rack, set up. Don't let yourself swing violently. So when you're holding above that bar, you're now trying to control your body. Take your time. Slow, controlled dismount. Chin stacked above that bar, holding on for dear life. If you're getting close to 30 seconds and above, like this 30 to 40 second range, you're right there. You're right in the precipice of being able to do a pull-up. So push through. Get this round. Next time we do KPIs, we'll actually do it 4 weeks in a row. So feel free if you get 30 to 40 seconds that first week and you want to try to do a pull-up the next week, go for it. Please do. Get that pull-up. Let's get these milestones, right? Like you've been working your ass off. You earned it. Why not go for it? So when we're setting up, bench, rack, whatever's available, okay? We're climbing up here, setting up chin above the bar. Then from here, when I transition, I want to avoid this swinging, right? So now when I get set up there, I want to lock in, hold, and then think pulling my elbows back and down the whole time, right? So as we're setting up for that hold, that same dismount rules apply. As we're going through all this, remember, all of this is for you to determine your progress, relatively speaking, to when you started or the last time we test. That's all that is. So when we're going through these pull-ups, just putting them back in your mind of this is for me, determine my progress to give me some sort of benchmark or some sort of milestone, relatively speaking. Push through, have fun. Let's get a really good result here. Okay, so our first KPI is body weight bench. We have 2 options here, body weight bench or push-up. Now, as you're going through this protocol of 5-3-1, which is a misnomer if you're not familiar with it, it's essentially just trying to get a 7 RM, a 5 RM, and 3 RM. So it should be called 7-5-3. But in reality, you get a pretty good gauge of what your ability to lift your body weight is, right? So when you get to your 7 or you get to your 5 or you get to your 3 RM, can you lift your body weight determines whether you should do body weight bench or push up, right? So don't fight it, don't force it. If you can't lift your body weight on for that first week or 7, maybe you want to try to hit a 2 or 3 RM, but I'll probably tell you it's better off to just do push-ups. But see what you got, right? If we can lift your body weight, it's pretty good. It's really good, actually. So as we're breaking down your RMs, and when we're transitioning to that decision of, okay, now we're going to do that open set of body weight or push-up, just use what you're doing for your 7-5-3, or in the case of the protocol's name, 5-3-1, to determine whether you do bench or push-up. In the event that you are doing bench, let's go through how we want to really strategize it, right? So there's a concept of shooting a cannon from a canoe when you talk about bench press. And that's why it leads into this 5 points of contact. Head, shoulders, hips, 2 feet. The more base of support you have, the stronger you're going to be. So as you're breaking down, hey, how do I get more force into that bar? Do you have a really stable position? So setting up wise, eyes directly below the bench. So imagine that I'm looking forward and that bench is directly, barbell is directly above my eyeballs. From here, thumb grip away from the smooth, wrap my hands. Now, before I pull the bar out of the bench, I have my head firmly pressed against the bench. I have my shoulders firmly pressed against the bench. I have my hips and glutes firmly pressed against the bench. And then I have my feet directly underneath my knees, pushing into the ground. So now I am in a strong position to press really hard. So as we're breaking down optimal performance on things like bench press, easiest, lowest hanging fruit is just get a really good base support. So when you're pressing, you're not like you're in a canoe and you're just wobbling all over the place, right? We do see a lot of nervous energy, right? We see a lot of this as we're setting up, moving around. I'm anxious, I'm ready to go. And then once I start getting going, I'll see the bar pulled out and then you're getting it situated here. You're probably setting yourself up for at least 1 rep lost. And what we can do leverage, and I know I just went on this long rant about, well, we don't want to leverage widening our hands and arching our back. What we can leverage is the setup and the organization, right? And the analogy I always talk about with everything, with anything that we're doing, is like shooting a free throw. 3 dribbles, spin, eye, shoot. Same thing in bench. Feet, glutes, shoulders, bar out. Now from here, then I'm just going, right? So I'm touching my chest, driving up. 3, 2, 1, pressing up. You will get to some hard reps. So as you're rolling, it's all about pace and tempo. Boom, boom, boom. Then it gets a hard rep. Reset, take a breath. Boom. Reset, take a breath. Boom. When you get to that real grinder rep, that one where you're like pushing out, you probably have 1 rep below 0.2 on bench press on the bar speed. You're going to have to fight. And when you get to this part where you're trying to muscle it up, where we look like this, dig your feet in, drive your glutes, punch your elbows. You can get an extra rep by just maintaining stability and control. So the concept is start off with feet, glutes, back, head, hands, eyes, get a good position, bar out, getting momentum, boom, 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 get to that grind rep, take a breath, get a single, get a grind rep, get a single. When you get to that real hard one, push your feet to the ground, rotate your elbows in, and punch through. You can probably make a lot of improvement by just being locked in and engaged with what you're doing on top of all the work you've been doing, right? So if you've been coming to practice 4, if you've been getting really good weight on your bench and push-ups and team and strength, you're going to be in a really good spot. If you're improving your body comp, that's probably going to be the real ace in the hole. So if you increase your muscle and decrease your body fat, it's going to be a lot easier to do, right? So KPI bench, if you can bench your body weight plus in your 5-3-1 protocol in practice 4. All right, so let's move on to push-up. So we just went through our 5-3-1. We can't do a body weight bench. All good, we're gonna do a push-up. Just like we talked about with pull-up holds. If you're around 30 to 40 push-ups, probably pretty darn close. So just keep pushing, keep getting stronger, just keep getting confident. With a push-up, hands, toes, right? So the push-up position is here, setting it up, thinking about strong head to tail, chin pulled back, body's nice and long. From here, we want hands about right outside of our shoulders, not any wider, not any closer, right? So this is a good position for that shoulder to go up and down there. The test will be lock your elbows, down 3, 2, 1, touch your chest, your sternum, press up. Now, with a lot of things, controlling the controllables is always a really important thing, right? So we talked about bench, bracing, locking in, 5 points of contact. With push-up, you have 2 points of contact, but you have to control your body in space. So as I'm going down, the only thing in contact with the ground is my hands and my toes. So what do I have available to me to control to create tension? I can rotate my elbows back, packing that shoulder, and I can brace my core, almost like I'm pretending to do a crunch. So when I go down, now I'm really strong, really stable, and I can drive myself away from the ground. That is such an underrated thing for push-ups. We see a lot of people leave reps in the tank because they start to arch or start to momentum. They start to turn into what I call like the worm. That deal, that's just not necessarily going to get you the best amount of output. The more stable, the stronger you are, the more you're leveraging joints. And if you don't know how to leverage a lot of these joint isolated positions, we got to stretch out a line, right? That's a pretty good masterclass on how to optimize tension and stability in certain joints, right? The more you can isolate a joint and get more from these compound movements like push, pull, hinge, and squat, the better performance you're going to get. But as we're going through this, rotate your elbows, almost like you're trying to pull that ground apart with your thumbs, pulling your toes towards your shins, pulling that rib cage down, pulling that belt up towards your rib cage, and then grinding through. And one of the keys that we see, just like in pull-ups, just like on bodyweight bench, when you hit that wall, then take a second, get your breath, reset, and try to get what I call singles, right? So I'm going through, cranking, and then I get to this there. Now from there, it's all about just getting really good singles. Pushing through, trying to get more and more reps. So when you get to that I'm at the end, grind out a couple more. Push through, try to get a little bit more. That's the difference here, right? So hopefully these pro tips really helped. Hopefully this really set you up for some success. Have fun with it. I'm fired up for everyone that's been going through this. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to really put it on the line, get a really good training month, set the foundation for 2024. Let's have a great block one.